Film club.
Did the chip butty almost kill you every time you ate it as well? Well, like, your eyes are streaming and there's a lump in your throat.
Down. The thing is, though, I went from fucking school where I had a monster chip butty every day to college where
The monster chip butty. That's what they used to call it.
I know.
Thank you very much for joining this episode of Film Club. I'm one of your host, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the very hungry monster, Andy Donaldson. Every single week, Andy, in Film Club, we invite these guys at home along to watch a film with us. We dive into the cinema's best. Yeah. We come back here, we talk it out. What have we been watching this week?
This week we've been watching The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola.
How good is this film?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We're skipping the whole intro thing at the beginning this week because how good is this film?
I really enjoyed it.
We've just been talking. We're coming off like a couple of weeks of like, well, there's been some good stuff in there, but like it's been kind of mildly good. And then to suddenly get like a guy like Francis Ford Coppola just come along and like punch you in the face and be like, look how good this film is.
I know. He's done really well.
Has one of, I just want to start chronologically a little bit, right at the very beginning, has one of the most simple, stylish openings for a film I've seen in quite some time. Now, I saw this years and years and years ago.
Oh, you've actually seen it before?
I've seen it before.
All right.
And for the most part, for whatever reason, it kind of left my mind. But as soon as that intro started, I was like, oh yeah, this is the thing. And it's like, it's this weird mix of like, one wide shot that slowly tracks in.
Oh, is this with the mime and stuff like that?
With the mime that follows him around.
It's really good.
And if I remember right, that's also intercut with the sound.
Yes, yeah.
That's sort of like, how do you describe it? I couldn't put my finger on how to describe that sort of.
I don't know what the
radio interference.
Yeah, it's probably just say radio interference. I don't really know myself how to do it. But it does. I love how it keeps coming back to it, and like there's an obsession with the recordings, the obsession with the tape throughout the whole of the film. And obviously this is introduced at the very start, so you're like, because of that the interference and stuff, you're already like kind of not obsessed, but you're already very intrigued, you're very interested, and you're just like, what's this, what's happening? And I must admit, I was sat down, if she watches this, she'll kill me. I was sat down with our girlfriend like this, watching at the start.
So did she watch it as well?
Yeah, well she watched the first, the halfway through anyway, because she had to go last night, and we sat down watching this, and I'm like there forward, and she goes, you alright? And I was just like, I'm really trying to get in this film. It's very, very slow, but I want to get into it. Anyway, and a bit later, she was like on the phone laughing away, and I was like, shut up. But I didn't tell her shut up. I was like, really? Anyway, and then there was a certain point through the film, and it was really good actually. It was when he got the thing out and they went to the band and came over.
Yeah.
And me, I'm not amazing at this, but I did audio engineering history back at uni. Anyway, and it was powers at this, and I said to our girlfriend, all he needs to do is double it over, play it again, and phase cancellation it, and then you can hear probably hear some of the spoken words. What did you do 5 seconds later? Cut it back, phase cancellation. You could hear it. I just went, oh look at that! Oh look at that! I was like, fucking called it, right?
Have you ever thought about going into surveillance for a career?
Oh god, but he makes his own gear stuff. I couldn't do that. But I was buzzing. That's when I was like, it wasn't then I was hooked. I was already you could tell I was already hooked because I was like forward like this. It was just the fact it was slow, but I knew it was going to be good. Like you said for that intro.
But
it was like
it hooks you though with such minimalism in lots of ways. Like it really, you're only following Gene Hackman. Yeah, he's got like some supporting cast, but they come and go, and you're pretty much following Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman never explains like there's no overt explanation of the plot or the threads or what the film is really following until like you start to piece things together. Some characters come for like a scene and disappear forever.
Yep.
And with that sort of like kind of stripped back audio design, strip back music, strip back cinematography, and it all just blends together in this kind of unsettling, fascinating cocktail of a film.
Do you know what it reminded me of? And I want to give this film I'm going to reference in a second another go. It reminded me of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Okay, how come?
Because it's slow, methodic.
Yep.
It's obviously surveillance and spy and stuff like that, like the unknown, and you're learning as they're learning. Those are the main characters in Tinker Tailor.
Yep.
As he's trying to learn his progression, like who it was and who the mole is and all this. In this case, you know what I mean.
Just so you know, you guys can't see Tinker Tailor down here because Studio Canal bent us over a barrel on that one.
Bastards. So in that film, there was that like kind of realization as you go through, as the main character goes through. What's his name? Gary Oldman. But in this, as you go through this, you're not learning as Gene Hackman's learning, but you're understanding what it is he knows and what he's in his way learning himself.
I do like that. Like, every time he revisits the conversation, he learns extra little bits of information,
more and more
about it,
context,
and that fleshes out the experience. So, like, he's very much our avatar. He's our surrogate. He's our eyes into this world.
Yep.
And like we get to experience what he's experiencing.
But I love how there's also a divide. Like, you understand that this character has his own demons as well. I mean, look at when he's at home, he's got all those locks. He's like, how the hell do you get that inside? There's a spare key. No, I don't have a phone. I'm ringing off a public.
That whole like paranoid aspect of his personality, and I love that comes through the camera work in this film. There's this really, really unsettling moment when he first goes home to his apartment, and he comes in, I think, puts something down. He walks out of frame, and the camera stays there for a second, and he goes and sits down, but the camera's just on a wall. And then the camera pans over.
Fly in the wall sort of thing, as if it's watching him.
And then obviously right at the end, you get this almost CCTV action where the camera pans back and forth while he's sitting there playing.
I never saw it. I never saw that.
And it just makes you feel like he's being watched, not being watched by like, do you remember when we did Halloween? And that we were talking about how that made you feel like the kid was being watched on his walk home and stuff. And that was like very first person, handheld camera.
This is more like Big Brother, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This instead is like total like surveillance state sort of camera work.
I said it.
Very clever. Very, very clever.
And it's what I like as well, just on the subject of Gene Hackman, is I've always been used to Gene Hackman. I remember watching when we did Unforgiven. Our mum always said, like, I watched it with our mum and our stepdad. And it was like, he was the one who was like, Andrew, this film's amazing. And my mum was like, no, it's great, but Gene Hackman is the most vile, like, evil person ever. And then to see Gene Hackman like this, fucking hell, what a performance. Like, the way he just goes through that, he, like, kind of saunters through his scenes in his own methodic kind of way, but his own, like, kind of, like, reserved, methodic way. And at first, I was a bit like, so something happens in the film later on, which I will tell you, which is how he gets his tape stolen.
Yep.
And he lets his guard down. And I was there again as I was with our girlfriend. I was like, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Like, that guy's too good for that. Why is he doing it? Why is he taking them back to his fucking warehouse in the first place? Which meant a little tiny little thing with it.
Yep, I'd agree. That's the one thing for me. It's like
why would you do that? But my point is, let's say he has brought them back, so get past that. Like, and then that's when I went, it's the fucking girl. It's the girl. She's going to seduce him and nick the tapes. That's what's going to happen. And it did happen. And I was a bit angry at the first. I was like, why would you do that? But then I was thinking, look, he has his flaws.
Yeah.
Like, he's not perfect.
Exactly.
Everyone says, like, they make him to this massive, like, figure. How did you do that? Like, the guy, that fucking annoying salesman guy, Jesus Christ.
Just keeps
oh my God, like, just chipping away at him. It's like, mate, shut the fuck up or I'll just kick you out, yeah.
Well, I love that it's also like he acts as almost like a mirror to Gene Hackman's personality. It's kind of like what could Gene Hackman theoretically be if he was a slightly different person? Yeah. But then there's that moment where Gene Hackman starts to become like him. Oh, and he comes in and he ignores him and he goes and grabs the girl and like he's bragging about certain things. And it's at that moment, at that slight moment of like letting his ego run free, that he pulls out that recorder and just like punches him back down.
Yep.
Very, very good.
That was a smooth moment. You could see this drop in his face. And like going back on what you said towards the start, I think one of the reasons I do love it so much is just the use of audio manipulation and just that kind of way it just grabs you in the whole film. And
you can tell it's kind of like almost this product of its time as well. Not because of like the technology or like the design of the film, but also the topic at hand. Like this was during a period where everyone was very concerned about government being Big Brother.
Yeah. And I mean, this is what when 1984 came out, isn't it?
Yeah. 70s. And that was like your surveillance state sort of time.
But then I like how the audio recordings as well, because the context, and obviously Gene Hackman knows his job, but then he's learning the context just as we're learning the context, yeah? And then you go towards and he's thinking, this client of mine, he's going to... Oh, by the way, just a side note, Harrison Ford's second feature film, this is actually his film that he did before the first Star Wars.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, that interesting bit shinfor. Because I always found out that his first job
what was the first one?
I can't remember. I'll find out another time. But anyway, so he thinks his client is going to kill his wife who's cheating. And then that twist, it's like the way around, just didn't see it. I was like, fuck. And that again is context.
Yeah.
And that's context of the recording. So
I love that the context, the way like he starts to play that back in his head and like you start to see how what they were saying had this like almost double entendre meaning to it.
Yep.
The one thing is like they shift a different take of the line at the end, don't they? Where, which I thought was a little cheeky, was where they suddenly put emphasis on he'd kill us if he got the chance.
Yeah. So like, is this like, We should, yeah.
You weren't emphasizing it that way throughout the film, but all right. Maybe it's Gene Hackman's mind that's supposed to be representing these moments.
It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, was he saying there in that take, just clever use of having go back all the way, like, Christ, it was nearly 2 years ago, I dare say, or a year ago when we did Slumdog, yeah?
Yeah.
And we were on about the medium of using Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to tell a story. In this case, you're using one tape recording to tell a whole fucking story of what happens there and leading to what kind of circumstances, like, hands down, well played.
Yeah. So anyway, there is the conversation. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of the conversation, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But we'll be back once again next week. We're going to be taking a look at a very special film, Silence of the Lambs. Andy, I cannot wait to silence these lambs. Are you cackling over the lambs? The silencing?
No, it's just the way you said something then. I'll tell you a bit. But yeah, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, get the fuck in.
See you all next week.
Cheers.